Welcome back to the Lockdown Tactics. Snoddy, you've put another one out of the bag this week, mate.
Boydy, incredible, mate. The response for last week was brilliant. But listen, moving on, charging on. The weeks are challenging us all in lockdown. The ladies' game, you couldn't get any bigger than this. Over 100 caps for England. England captain, Man City captain. You know, a special woman. Welcome to the show, Steph Houghton.
Steph, you've enjoyed a fabulous career in football so far. But what made you right at the start? What got you involved in it?
I think it was my dad. I think obviously coming from the northeast, obviously everybody loves the football up there, whether you're the Newcastle or a Sunderland fan, and coming from like a really sporting family. My dad was one of 7 boys, and I think there was always going to be, all the cousins were always going to be playing some sort of sport, whether it was football and cricket, and I end up loving just running around and kicking a football, and ever since then it's kind of, that's only been the only sport for me, really.
I can't believe you've left out the mighty Middlesbrough there.
By
the way, can I erase that from my memory as well?
Yeah, you can do that, yeah.
Steph, see, I've got three daughters, and for me as a father, and in sport and stuff, I want to be trying. I would love them to be involved in football. But was it quite straightforward for you as soon as you got the ball at your feet? You just knew this is what you wanted to do?
And I always knew that I was going to play it, whether it was going to be like a hobby. Obviously, at the time when I was growing up, there wasn't that many women's teams, and I couldn't really relate to a women's footballer as such. Like, I looked up to David Beckham, I looked up to Gerrard, Kevin Phillips. They were like my heroes, if you want to call it that, and they're the people that I tried to copy when I was in the yard or in the school playground, or you try and have their names on the back of your shirt. So I think as I've got older, I think for girls, definitely, I think there's a better pathway for them to go and play football. But at the time, there wasn't really that many teams, and I didn't get scouted till I was 10. Whereas now, girls can be part of a centre of excellence where they're getting picked up at years when they're age 4 and 5. So there's been such a big difference. But I think the way that I've gone into football, I wouldn't change it for the world, because I really do think it's made us the player that I am today. And obviously there was a lot of challenges whilst growing up.
Well, she's definitely Snod. She's shown her colours right away. From the northeast, doesn't even mention Alan Shearer, and straight into Kevin Phillips. Tell us more about your heroes, Kevin Phillips, growing up and stuff like that. More about your heroes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Sunderland supporter. Used to go to all the games as much as I can. That's I used to go to all the soccer schools in the Easter holidays. That's when I first got scouted, was when obviously your mum and dad send you away for 2 days because they want you to get you out of the house and they just want you out for a few hours. So yeah, Sunderland through and through. Obviously Kevin Phillips, at the time I was a striker, so he was the one that I wanted to copy, and had every Sunderland home and away kit with his name on the back. And I think it was always going to be try and play for Sunderland as quick as I could, and I was fortunate enough to do that.
Well, I must ask you, can you remember Alex Ray as well?
Yeah, I can remember Alex Ray, yeah.
What a player he was,
to be fair. Yeah, that was when Sunderland were all right, to be fair.
Steph, see how you speak there about it's really good for me to try and learn somebody who's obviously at the top, because it's great. I speak to Gilly Flattery quite a bit, and the girls here, watching them, and the intensity and the level that you play at. Did you feel as if as the game was, you said there about the game has moved forward in the ladies' game? Do you feel as if, when you first started off, do you feel as if the intensity and everything is kind of went with it?
Yeah, of course, because if I look back at when I was training with Sunderland, when I made my first team debut with 14 or 13, that's when you could play as young as you possibly could. And obviously there wasn't that many girls playing football. So if you were good, you got pretty much of a chance early on. Whereas now the competition's so much bigger and it's harder to get into the likes of Man City, West Ham, Arsenal in the top league, because there's so many more girls that are playing, and we were getting players from abroad. But I think when you talk about intensity and technique work, I think, it's gone up. It's gone up and it's improved so much over the last few years, mainly because we're training every single day, whereas we were training once a week and playing once a week, and you're trying to keep your fitness levels up, whereas now you're in every single day. you're getting monitored from your physical coaches, your S&C coaches, your manager. You're getting worked hard, and the club that I'm at, Man City, they love being with the ball and they do everything with the ball. So I'm touching the ball more than I've ever done, and I'm 32 now. So I'm just like, if I'd have done that when I was 18, it would have been.
Do you enjoy that side? Do you enjoy that side in terms of saying where, you know, what you speak about, saying you obviously you get the ball all the time? Would you, obviously the type of player that you are, do you enjoy the fact that, you know, we want to get the ball all the time? It's more or less a mirror image of the, you know, the Man City team with the way they play. It's like it's constant. So if they try to filter that, is that just at Man City that's happened for you?
At England as well, I think the way that we play both, especially at Man City when I joined them 5 years ago, and actually at Arsenal, they were a very much football-based team where they try to play out from the back, and they try to use people's technical ability. We had the best technical players in England, and I would say that's the case at Man City now. We try and copy the men's philosophy and how they play and how they start from the back, and no matter how much pressure's on you, we try and find a way to play out with the ball on the floor. And as a centre-half, and the way that I like to play, I like to control the game, to have the ball on my feet. I'm able to do that, rather than probably 10, 12 years ago, it wasn't that. It was kind of like, just get it forward as quick as you possibly can and get people who are quick trying to chase it.
A bit like Snods. I'm only joking. Steph, what sacrifices did you have to make, you know, as your career to get to the top of your professional?
I think a lot, to be honest. I think obviously it's the same in men's football. I think there's so many sacrifices. Obviously, I lived away from home since I've been 18, so
I mean, like in terms of you spoke about it there, like training maybe once a week. Now you're training full time, so it is, you know, the exact same as the men's game. But when you go back years ago and you were only training once a week or stuff like that, like what sacrifice did you have to do away from, you know, the training ground or where you were training to actually get to the level you've got?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because you were only training once a week, you had to do your own fitness stuff, and you obviously got given a program. I was lucky enough to get given a program from England at the time because I was going through the youth systems. But for someone that's 16, 17, that's the last thing you want to do, is probably get given a week program and be like, right, okay, well, you've got 4-minute runs today, and you're like, it's pretty boring, that. And like, obviously, you haven't got that much equipment. Whereas now at the moment, obviously, I've got enough equipment to be able to do my own program and try and replicate what I would do with club. But at the time, you have to just be mentally so strong and try and get it done, and try and sometimes you don't do it. I'm the first to admit that. I looked at the program and was like, I don't want to do this. I just want to play football. I want to play with my mates. I want to play with the girls, kind of thing. And but I think that's kind of the sacrifice you have to make. That has to come first. And I think you learn that as you grow older, that especially as the competition get higher, you can't really miss out on them sessions because somebody else is doing it.
See, obviously Man City, where, you know, you touch on saying, you know, they've got different programs and different ideas. You know, why are they such a top club? What are you doing different? Because when we play against the men's team, obviously there's a lot of talk about Pep and stuff, but it seems to me, even when you arrive at play Man City, everything surrounds it is just. It's just made for an elite level, and the ladies team as well doing so well, and obviously you playing at the elite level. What likes the setup at Man City?
I think for me, obviously you can have as many staff as you want, and I think it's everybody's applications 100%. As soon as you walk in the academy, there's a certain standard that you have to adhere to, and with a club like Man City, if you don't adhere to their standards, you know that potentially they could bring somebody else in. And that's how I feel like as a player. I'm like, we're constantly looking at different players to try and better the team and try and better the squad. And I think it's just about going right back to basics and doing them basics really well and continue to do them every single day. I think we always kind of say matches are kind of won on a Tuesday and a Wednesday on the training ground, not on the Sunday that we play, because if we can get our intensity as high as possible, and when we play whoever we play in WSL or Champions League, that we're used to playing at that intensity, and we press as much as we possibly can, and we pass the ball as quick as we can. And some days it's not perfect, but at the same time you always learn from them. And I think everybody just has this will to win, and it's scary. I think sometimes I only ever really felt that at Arsenal, that no matter what, I just knew that we were going to win. And that's the first time I ever felt that. And I feel it's the same as I am at Man City. I think you look around your team, you look around your staff, and the things that we do in day out, day in, day out, it prepares you for a match day, and it prepares you for the big finals that come along.
So see, you're obviously the captain at Manchester City as well, and with the amount of, I mean, I've got notes here of, you've got German players, Belgium, Irish, Canadian, Portuguese. What onus is there on you as a captain when those girls are coming into the football club to look after them, to lead the way, to show them the path and get them the right track?
Yeah, I think obviously there's a lot of responsibility. I think for someone that's been at the club for 4 or 5 years now and captain of the club, I think it's your part of your role to be able to help them settle in as quickly as possible. And we've been quite fortunate with the girls that we've brought in, that the English has been really good, which it always helps. However, we had a South Korean player that joined us last summer, and that was challenging. We were always on Google on our phones, just trying to translate what she wanted or what she was meaning, and tell her where to go. Yeah, basically. And then,
I thought you were going to say the hardest one to translate was Caroline Weir, the Scottish girl.
Sometimes when she gets going, I can't understand that, to be honest. But the first words that they learn, swear words, isn't it? So I think some of the girls have been teaching how South Korean play the swear words. But yeah, I think not just me. I think the older players, the experienced players. We always like to go for a coffee, so I think that's like a time after training, is just to kind of get to know them outside of football, outside of CFA, and obviously invite them over for dinner or go out for dinner in Manchester. We're quite fortunate that the city's amazing. There's so many good restaurants. So it's I think it's not just my responsibility, but everybody else's, just to make them settle in quickly. And we've got a great group of girls and staff as well.
How important is that bonding session with to get to know them? If as I said, if you're the captain and they want to come with you with problems, or the manager or stuff like that, how important is it that you really get to know them?
Yeah, it's massive. I think that's how you build trust first and foremost. I think all the teams that I've been involved in, I think if you don't trust the people that you're playing with, then it's very hard to go and win. And I think the way you do that is away from the pitch. Obviously, on the pitch, you learn how each other works and what's best, whether you need to tell them well done, whether they need a bit of a rollicking or whatever it might be. And I think off the pitch, I think if you get to know them on a personal level, you take that onto the pitch quite simply, and you have that level of respect where you kind of go and fight with them on a Sunday to make sure that the team wins.
Steph, see as a captain's role, I speak about Mark Noble quite a bit, because he's been the one club for so long. He's in that experience bracket, and as a captain, for you as a responsibility, do you judge your teammates based on their personalities? Where it's like maybe they need an arm around them, maybe they, as you just said there, a bit of rollicking. People just think a captain's role is trying to organise things on the park, but there is a lot of detail that goes on behind the scenes to actually get, as you just said there, you're won on a Tuesday, Wednesday. So do you feel as if it might just be Tuesday, Wednesday, the standard might not just be at it? Do you feel as if you're getting that a bit older, the experience to try and say, what, the standard isn't up to the level here? Do you feel as if each compartment brings a different mental challenge?
Yeah, I think you've got to think about it as well. You've got to kind of gauge the mood of what the group's saying. And I think, like you said, if the standard's not good enough, I'm one that's what I kind of hold myself accountable to in terms of professionalism. I think if you can apply yourself on and off the pitch, I think we've done half the job that we want to do, because that application will naturally come with that. So yeah, I think obviously if the standard's not good, I think it's important that you have that ability to kind of, in a group setting, be able to say how you feel and say it's not good enough, and make sure that my level's first and foremost at the level that we need it to be. But I think you're right in terms of knowing the person a little bit. I think there's some players that if I had to go at them, I think I'd lose them for 5-10 minutes, and in a game you can't afford to do that. And it's about, right, okay, well, yeah, in my head it's like, right, okay, that's not good enough, but I need to get the best out of them for the next 10 minutes to get us back in track. So it's kind of weighing up, and I use a lot of people in the City team in terms of their experience. Jill Scott's a great person that I lean on and use her experience to kind of, we try and say the same message but in different ways to try and get through to different people, which I think it's important. It's not just about me and what I say, it's about us as a team trying to solve problems, and also encouraging and not being afraid to say well done as well. I think sometimes we find ourselves a little bit guilty of always focusing on the negatives, and I think it's important if somebody's had a good game or scored a good goal, it's important that we say well done.
I agree with that. That's a big factor of the game. I was actually speaking about that the other day. Is, you know, some of the lads where we are a sort of like a country, especially I feel as if down south we focus on a negative like more than what we would do a positive. It's just a weird feeling. I don't understand it. There's even now in the sort of the way the isolation and stuff's going. I was speaking about with West Ham and you know, they get people give them criticism for certain things, and even the way they've dealt with their staff, the way they've dealt with this COVID-19, and it's all new to us, but the way they've dealt with it has been, honestly, it's been incredible. So I get where you're coming from. As a big thing where we do need to focus on positives a lot more. And just touching on that, what you said, do you feel as if your upbringing, you as a person, where you feel as if you are a positive person, and we do need to push that positive message a hell of a lot more?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Northeast, in terms of my upbringing and the village that I'm from, they love seeing people do well, and no matter whether it was football, cricket, how old you were, what level you were playing, if someone scored a hat-trick on the school feed, it was like the best thing ever. So I'd like to think that I'm quite comfortable saying well done and actually really meaning it. I think that's the most important thing in football. I think you get a lot of people saying a lot of statements that you're like, do you actually really mean that? But with the group of players that I play with, and England as well, I think that's something that we've worked on a lot over the last couple of years, is like, okay, well, what's our strengths, what we're good at, what individual strengths, and kind of like highlighting that as much as we possibly can, to a point where it has an effect. And if someone's had a good game, it's the best feeling in the world is saying you were awesome today, you were class today, kind of thing. So I agree with what you're saying. I think there's a lot of things that probably in the media doesn't really get highlighted as much, and people do focus on the negative straight away.
See, when you go back to your upbringing there, what sacrifices were made by your parents or people round about you at the time?
I think in terms of just trying to get us to train as much as possible after working, obviously picking us up from school, taking us through to Sunderland to go and train on a Friday night, 8 till 10, whether it was my mum or my dad. My brother always had to come with them as well, so he's made a lot of sacrifices just to kind of be out the house, and obviously they still
tell
do
the truth. Was he just hoping to see some Sunderland players when he was there?
Probably, yeah. To be fair, he wasn't that much into football. I think that's because I was just so into football. He was like, oh, I'm not really too bothered. But even now, they travel the world to come and see us play. And I think in France, they had over 30 people come out and stay for like 3 weeks and just follow us all around and book hotels last minute to watch England play. And yeah, they've made so many sacrifices, obviously. Coming from a pith village, obviously when work was a little bit tough, and obviously sometimes maybe they were out of work, it was just it was important for us to get to football, and they knew I loved it, and I'll be forever grateful for that.
You speak about England there. You've played over 100 times, 120 odd times now for England. How special has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I think obviously when I thought that I could have a little bit of a chance of playing at a decent level, I think obviously always the dream is to play for your country. And I always remember my debut coming on at right back against Russia, and then making my full debut against Scotland, which was even better. So I think for everybody that plays, you want to play for your country, you want to continue representing at the highest level. And I've been fortunate enough to play in 4 or 5 tournaments now, which is amazing, and I've loved every single minute.
See, before we come back to your own career there, you mentioned Scotland. How, like, the Scottish game probably now is where the English game was years ago. What do they need to do more up here or better up here to get it to the same level? I know there's been the finances, and a lot of the Scottish girls have went south and stuff like that as well. What do they need to do up here to make it better?
Apart from investment, I think for us it took us a while. I think it was always about getting all the players to be playing and training every single day. I think from us, the biggest thing that we could control in that transition period was our physicals and like attributes. And I think as an England team, we wanted to be the most physical team that we possibly could be. And I'll be honest and say that we weren't technically up with a lot of teams, the likes of Holland, France, USA at the time. But the one thing that we were like, right, okay, well, we can make an impact is physically and being in the gym and getting out on the pitch and doing them horrific pitch runs. I think now I look back, and obviously at the time you're like, oh, this is going to be tough. But now I look back and I go, you know what? It was all worth it, because once you get to that level of fitness and you get every single squad member, 23 players, potentially 30 at that level, then you can actually work on your football, and that comes more natural.
Did you look up to any? Did you look at any country, Steph? And you says, you know, we need to get to that level. Was there any country you thought, you know, when you played against them, you know, they're at the elite level?
I think the most obvious one's USA. I think they've been the most successful women's team, and I think when we look at physical stats and how they've been able to maintain that physical level and also their technical level, it's been amazing. And obviously we have little training camps where we're like, right, okay, we need to play at this match tempo as if we're playing against America, and the S&C coaches are like, right, okay, you need to increase it now. You need to be so many meters per minute to replicate playing America. And you're going into these like such finer details to try and beat the best. And we came so close, but at the same time, we've still got a long way to go in terms of our overall technical work, the way that we play and our tactics, but also physically, we've got so much more to give.
What do you think separates them? What do you think separated the USA from the rest of the world in the women's game over the last, number of years?
The belief, I think. I think the way that they speak, the way how confident they are, they just believe that they're going to win, and they're not afraid to say it. Whereas I think we're a country where we're like, right, okay, even I think that personally, I'm like, right, okay, well, if I say I'm one of the best centre-halves in the world, people are going to go, oh, she's a bit big-headed kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, exactly. I think it's because where I come from as well, they just shoot you down and be like, what are you on about? Like, just stop talking kind of thing. Whereas they're not afraid to go, yeah, I'm the best player in the world. Yeah, I know for a fact whoever I come against, I'm going to beat them 1v1. I'm going to be the best player on the pitch. And if you have 5-6 of them players in your team, it just spreads belief throughout the team. So I think that's our next step, is if we get all them little bits right off the pitch and physically in the best shape. Technically, we know our game plan, but then we also believe, I think we've got a great chance in the future.
Steph, we just had Mental Health Awareness Week. We had Tyson Fury, we had Danny Rose, one football, one boxing. Tyson Fury being the heavyweight champion of the world, and he's such a big ambassador and a great advocate for mental health. In the women's game, is there mental health challenges with you obviously being, you know, a leader and a captain, and are you in those conversations on how you can manage to get it better in women's football?
I think as women's football's got more popular, I think obviously people have been given an opportunity to kind of speak about mental health, and I think obviously I've had teammates, I've heard of players that are in the league that have probably struggled a little bit, and whether that's due to the pressure of obviously being a professional footballer and a massive change to your life, or whether that's injury, it's quite sad to see. But I think they've obviously got a lot more opportunities to get help now. I think in terms of the PFA, and obviously the clubs have been fantastic to help individuals if they need to. And I think it's something that we can still work on and still talk about. But ultimately, I think we're kind of heading in the right direction in terms of allowing players to speak out a little bit more.
In terms of like Man City, because we spoke to a few people and they said there's been like the opportunity for players to go and speak to psychologists. Is there that opportunity within Manchester City?
Yeah, of course. I think we have a psychologist that works with us and is always around CFA, and it's not just the one that's assigned to our team. There's a group of them that work for City Football that if you ever needed them, they're just a phone call, or you can just go and see them in the building. So we're quite fortunate enough that we have people checking up on us and making sure that we're all okay. And that's all they can do at the moment, is just to be there when players need it. And players struggle at different times, but at least there's a little bit of certainty that there's always going to be someone there to speak to.
Well, what message would you give to anyone who's struggling with mental health right now?
Really important to speak to someone, whoever that may be, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, or a specialist opinion. I think it's the most important thing, and the biggest step is to just speak out and not be afraid to, because you realize that there's probably going to be people that are in the same position as you. And I think once you do that, you see that you have someone that you can trust and you can speak out and try and obviously hopefully feel a little bit better about yourself and the situation.
Steph, the footballers. I speak to Lucy Ward and she goes with Neil Redfern. I just said to you there about Colin Stewart. Is it a common theme that your husband needs to be in football as well? Stephen, played with Stephen. How big a part has Stephen played in your career?
Met Stephen 5-6 years ago, and that was through a PFA football meeting. We had the same agent, and it was just a random meeting that none of us wanted to go to, and it kind of just blossomed from there. But yeah, I think obviously he played at Liverpool, he was at Bradford at the time, and to see how hard he worked and his professionalism, I think that really influenced me a lot. I think his dedication and obviously off the pitch, what he ate and just how much he wanted to win. It was a bit of an inspiration in terms of when I joined City, you kind of not better. You didn't want to do better than him. I don't want to be a competition, but at the same time, he really egged us on to kind of be the best person that I could be. And even now, obviously, he's retired now, but he was down at the pitch with us the other day, timing us from our runs, and he's the biggest supporter I've ever been. So, yeah, he's still quite critical sometimes, but at the same time, whenever I need a well done or whatever, he's always there.
Well, what advice would you give to any young footballer who's trying to become a professional?
First of all, I think hard work. I think whatever you put in, you get out. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think if you can take yourself to a place where it hurts and it's tough, and when it comes to playing matches and you know how dedicated you are and your professionalism's a high standard, I think you give yourself the best chance you possibly can be. And I think for me, if you absolutely love the game and you enjoy it every single day, that's the biggest thing as well. So for me, hard work and enjoying it, I think you get them two together, then you've got a great chance.
That's
one last one.
No, because I'm going to take this. I was just trying to set my phone. I just wanted to get that to show my daughters to say, right, come on, this is it now. She England, the Man City captains told you how to do it. There you go, perfect. Well, thanks for that. That was good because they really enjoy that. There's Steph. Right now we're in lockdown. It's been sort of 8-9 weeks, the deeper weeks now, where it's challenging people. You know, mentally, we're going through different stages in the men's game to try and get it back out there. And obviously, you have been having programs and different things where you know it's mentally challenging. It is where we speak about in the women's game and the men's game, you're so structured and there's a routine set in place. But how do you try and fill that void? And what sort of stuff have you been doing to try and keep in a routine?
Yeah, I think that was the main thing, was as soon as I knew that we weren't going into training, it was all about trying to get a routine and trying to kind of structure my days the same as I would if I was driving into training at Man City. So for me, it would always just about be getting up at a decent time, not lying in bed all day, getting up and going in the gym that we've kind of transformed the conservatory into, with all the equipment, whether it was the bike or the boxes or weights, do a little bit of warm up in there, then heading to the pitch to do a running or a ball session, coming back up and doing the weights that we need to do, and then having the afternoon to do kind of what I wanted to do, whether it was to do media stuff or whether it was to go for a walk with Stephen, go for a coffee and try and get into a similar routine that I did. And like you said, everybody's went through different stages. I think I got a week 3 of lockdown. I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I can't push myself as much as I can because you haven't got anything to aim for, and it's not as if you were going back in 2-3 weeks. You actually didn't have a clue. So I kind of had a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a break, and tried to mix up a little bit to kind of be fresher mentally for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And that seems to have worked. I feel focused, and obviously disappointed that our league's not going ahead. But at the same time, now we've got a great chance to get as fit as you possibly can over the next few weeks, ready for a long pre-season come July, August.
Well, it was difficult for you to try and replicate the training, everything, but the games for Snoddy was the easiest thing to replicate. Just go out the back door and sit on his bench.
Steph, you speak about Stephen there and obviously going walks and stuff, and in 2018, obviously Stephen was diagnosed with motor neuron disease, and you've done the Darby Rimmer MND. The reason why I've seen it everywhere, it's incredible what you are doing, the money that's been raised. Some of my ex teammates, some of my good friends, Billy Painter, Gordon Greer, Tony McMahon. It's incredible what they're doing. Can you just tell us how you came about it and what it means to you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with everything that was going on, there was a lot of things planned over the next few months in terms of raising money and raising awareness. And obviously, with us not being able to go out or do any of these events, we were trying to think of ideas. And it was actually one of my mates from home. She's a school teacher, so she's been off. And she was like, I just want to raise some money. I want to try and do something. And she came up with 100k mare. And originally, she wanted to raise £5,000. And we had a team of 5-10 people from home, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to send this out to all the girls and put it in the Man City group and the England group and see who wants to do it, because we're naturally doing that on the pitch. We're covering 25-30k in the week just off running sessions, and we're like, okay. And then everybody decided to do it, and ever since then it's just kind of grown. And to be honest, we're a bit shocked of how well we've done in terms of the awareness and how many team members we had in. We've got over 350 team members. Obviously, the other day we raised over 150,000, which we never thought that was ever possible. And to see how many tweets and social network interactions it's been and how much it's got out there, that was the most important thing, was that people are aware of what the foundation does and to try and help people as well. So we're absolutely delighted with the support that we've received, and it still just keeps getting even bigger as the weeks go on.
That's fantastic. Well done for all your hard work that's went into it, Steph.
Oh, thank you. It's not me, it's Stephen and
no, but
Chris,
you know, I mean, it's
yeah.
still. But I think. Well, Snoddy we were speaking about it earlier as well, and he's talking about he's going to give me a challenge.
Steph, listen, the biggest challenge, right? I have been, since we get into lockdown, I've been trying to get Chris Boyd to run 1 kilometre. Right?
Right. Okay.
He's been cycling everywhere, but I think it's cycling to the local shop to try
the local chippy, mate.
he was middleweight at the start. Now he's went into heavyweight. He thinks he can fight Tyson Fury last week. But listen, what we're going to do in the lockdown tactics is Chris Boyd, we've set him a challenge for the Darby Rimmer, the MND. I think it's amazing what you're doing, you and Stephen. It's superb. You're raising such massive awareness and how much it's obviously touched you, affected you. But what we're going to do for the lockdown tactics, and I think Chris he's getting butterflies right now just thinking about it. Boydie will be doing 10 kilometres run for the MND. The Darby Rimmer, and every kilometre Boydie does will donate £100. So £1,000 will be going to the charity. Amazing what you're doing, and we just wanted to give a bit back to say thank you for coming on and sharing your career with us.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Steph. Thank you. Good luck in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye. Oh, Snoddy, that was brilliant. You know, a great insight to the women's game. A role model and an inspiration to everyone, to be honest. Brilliant. But I'm going to ask you one thing. I knew you had a challenge for me, but how long have I got to do this 10k, mate? Because I have done nothing, by the way. I've been on my bike, as you said, but I've done nothing, and I mean nothing for weeks.
Boydie, I can see the panic in your face. Don't worry about it. Listen, this challenge is the 10k in June challenge. You've got a month. You've got a month to do it. This is just like a normal pre-season for Chris Boyd. It's like 10 trips to the local takeaway for you, Boyd.
By the way, I'm going to one deal. But the deal is that for every K I do, I need a John Gall, brown in the baker, curry pie. They all got about the Kelly pie, but the curry pies are the best. So I'll hook this on to wee John. We'll give him a little plug, but he better have me a curry pie for every 1k I do.
Perfect. Deal. Honestly, as long if I can get you up,
right. Get you. Yeah. Let's shake on it. Let's shake on it, mate.
Hey, listen, I need to get you ready at your fighting weight. Come on, I need to get you ready for it. 10k in June for Chris Boyd.
I'll get that done. I'll smash that out, mate. Don't worry about that. But listen, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode here at the Lockdown Tactics. Stay tuned. We've plenty more coming your way. Thanks very much, and everybody, stay safe.
Stay safe. Thank you.